Welcome to Discover Janesville. My name is Yuri Rashkin, and today we are filming at Roosevelt Elementary. And our guest is Becky Weber Johnson. Thank you for being here, Becky.
Thank you for having me.
And you are the board president of Spotlight on Kids.
I am.
How long have you been involved with Spotlight?
I have been involved for, I believe, 6 years in a board member position, and just became president in November.
How did you get interested in children's theater?
I think my interest is in theater, and that Spotlight offered an opportunity for children to participate in something other than sports, because I was that kid who didn't do sports and didn't have any place to participate, is where my interest came in.
I see. And there's also a part of Spotlight on Kids that's for adults. It's the Footlights?
Well, absolutely. Footlights Productions is an offshoot of Spotlight on Kids that was created so that there was more flexibility within the kinds of shows that are done and the audience expectation of what they're going to see. Sometimes they've done some shows that were probably not entirely appropriate for children to come to. Okay. Other times, a Footlight show is simply a Footlight show because it doesn't have children in the cast. Like You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown was done with all high school and adults. So that wasn't a Spotlight show, that was a Footlight show.
But there's a number of theater groups, I think it just keeps growing exponentially. How many shows a year do you do? We do
actually 3 shows a year. We do a school show, which is we invite school children to come and see, or we come to them. Lately we've been inviting them to come to us just because we have sets and things, and it's much easier.
Well, it's a nice opportunity to show off the Janesville Performing Arts Center and to nice seats and bring the kids there.
And some kids never get that experience except through what their school does for them. So that's another reason that part of our mission at Spotlight on Kids is to bring theater to the whole community. So that's another reason that we have students come to the theater. We do that generally in March, in the spring. We have a summer musical that's generally a large cast, large production. This year it's Cinderella. Last year we did Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And that generally is a July show, because then immediately after Memorial Day you can begin your rehearsals and be ready to go on stage in July. It's all about timing. And in October we do a Halloween walk, which we do with Rotary Gardens.
That sounds scary.
It's not scary. That's the beauty of it. Some of the stories are a little ghost story scary-ish, but it's not a jump out at you kind of scary situation.
Well, and the production of at least the school show that I saw, that was completely sold out. You had, I think, more performances than you were planning on having.
We did.
But this is all based on volunteers because there's a lot of costs associated with putting on the show, correct?
Absolutely. And I just want to clarify, we do pay musicians. We do pay a small stipend to our director. So we do pay a little bit.
Comes out about 50 cents an hour, I believe, isn't it?
Probably not even, to be honest. As a musician, you're familiar with that.
Fair enough.
Probably not even 50 cents an hour. But it's really not about making money. It's about showing them appreciation for their ability and talent, because a lot of people will assume, as you know, that, oh, you play piano? Well, why don't you come play for this and not reward you financially for that.
Even though it takes a lot of time.
It does, and being a part of the arts, I think, is undervalued in those terms of actually paying for the gifts and talents that people bring to the table. So we try to do at least a little something to show that we have real world, hands-on appreciation for what you've done.
Well, and it's clearly, I think, is a huge benefit to the kids, because the kids remember this experience. They remember being in a theater. It helps them grow, and this is something that the theater and the arts contributes back to the community.
Absolutely, and I think I just want to go back to one of the other reasons we pay certain positions is because you can't have someone walk out on that, and a volunteer always has that opportunity. It's true. There are certain positions within what we do that you just can't have someone just walk away in the middle. And by having a contract and a little bit of pay, we protect ourselves from that.
You have an interesting, one of the ways I do research is I go on internet. And
have you been on my Facebook page?
Exactly, exactly. You have a quote there, "Be the change you want to see in the world."
I'd love to tell you I said that.
But it's actually Gandhi.
It is. It is.
It's kind of nice, because I think you by leading the Spotlight on Kids, you are making that change and you are making that difference, because kids want to participate, kids want to have an outlet, and you're able to make that into reality.
I think for me it is, the reason that I'm involved is because I think every young person needs a place where they can fit in and feel normal for whatever that is. And if you are not involved in sports, you're maybe not the best student in the class, if you can't find a place that's your place, that's a pretty difficult road to continue on in life. And we really offer that. Absolutely. We actually, in our last show, we did Free to Be You and Me, and we had a couple of children. It's ironic that it was the same night. The next day their parents came back, and the kids are not schoolmates or anything. They said, our child came home from school today and said, I wish I could go to school with the kids at Spotlight on Kids. Because that's their place. That's where they fit. And that's just really powerful that there's a place for you. You just got to find it.
And you have to be pretty good, because how many kids did you have auditioning for Cinderella?
We had 105 people audition for Cinderella, and it's probably going to be a cast of about 45. So we have some tough decisions.
Wow.
Yeah, the hardest thing to do is to say, I'm sorry, not this time. It's very difficult because we want everyone to participate, and we do have shows where we have large children's choruses that we can pretty much let everyone participate unless they're just too young to be able to take some direction and handle that.
Well, and there's some other opportunities to participate for kids and for adults.
Absolutely. Our summer shows have been traditionally a mixed age show. We've had adults, teenagers, children, and it is again this year, which is a really neat dynamic. It's neat to see how the kids interact with the adults, and the adults teach them, and the kids teach them. And especially teenagers really enjoy being the big man on campus kind of kid, which they probably haven't experienced with young kids like this before. A lot of them.
So they have everybody looking up to them.
And in return, little kids bring such energy and excitement and ability to just throw caution to the wind that's good for those teenagers who are feeling a little reserved and maybe withdrawn a little bit from certain things. So it's a really nice balance.
There's other things you do besides Spotlight on Kids. It sounds like it would take a full-time job 365 days a year, but you actually do like 15 other things?
Well, not quite 15, but yes, my husband owns Janesville Rental. We own Janesville Rental, and I work there some, not a ton, but I do help out there. And I work for, I do overnight work at a group home on weekends, an adult care group home, and that's been very rewarding. And I teach Sunday school, and I work at WCLO Radio on Saturday mornings, and I work for an insurance salesman about 5 hours a week. And so I do a lot of little things.
It's great that you don't need a list to remember, like, where do I have to be and that kind of thing.
Oh, I do. I do.
And at the same time, according to your Facebook, you enjoy cooking and scrapbooking and even reading once in a while.
I love to read. It's probably the place you find me the most when I have any downtime is with my nose in a book. I have a book in my car all the time. Everywhere I go, I have my book with me. So if I have downtime.
What are you reading now?
Right now, I'm reading The Muslim Next Door, a book about a woman who's trying to say, I grew up a Muslim in California, I'm a U.S. citizen, and this is what my life is.
I bet that is a very interesting book.
It's very interesting, trying to clear some things up. Yeah.
Well,
Don't get me wrong, I read romance novels, too.
Well, I'm relieved. Okay, good.